My mother warned me. I should have listened sooner. I was standing in a hospital delivery room, holding a clipboard with a birth certificate that needed my signature. My wife Emma was in the bed behind me, exhausted, crying. The baby, a boy with blonde hair and blue eyes, was in the bassinet next to her. The doctor stood by the door, uncomfortable. Emma's parents were in the hallway, and I could hear her mother's voice rising. "Sign it, Daniel! Stop being cruel!" I looked down at the paper. Father's name, blank, waiting for me. I set the clipboard on the counter. "I'll sign it when I know he's mine," I said. Emma sobbed harder. "How can you do this? How can you be so heartless?" I didn't answer. I just walked out. Her father tried to block me in the hallway, his face red with rage. "If you walk out that door, you're not welcome back. You'll lose everything." I stopped, looked him in the eye. I already lost everything the day she lied, and I left. If you've ever been in my shoes, you might understand why I did what I did. Just hear me out. Because this story doesn't start in that hospital room. It starts 2 weeks earlier, on the 2nd anniversary of my mother's death. It was a Tuesday evening. Emma was 8.5 months pregnant, moving around our kitchen with that careful waddle, making dinner. She looked happy. Glowing, everyone said. I was supposed to be happy too. First-time father, stable job as a civil engineer, nice house in a good neighborhood. The American dream, right? My sister Sarah stopped by that evening. She handed me a package wrapped in brown paper. "What's this?" I asked. "Mom wanted you to have it. She told me to give it to you when you were about to become a dad." Sarah's eyes were wet. I think now's the time." I took the package to my study while Emma finished cooking. Inside was a small external hard drive and a note in my mother's handwriting. "For Danny, when you're ready to build your family, love, Mom." I plugged it in. One file, a video, dated 3 months before she died. I clicked play. My mother's face filled the screen. Catherine Miller, 58 years old in that video, but she looked older. Cancer had already started eating her from the inside, though I didn't know it then. She was sitting in her bedroom, the one she'd had since my dad died when I was 15. "Hi, Danny," she said, and her voice cracked me open. 2 years gone, and I still missed her every day. "If you're watching this, you're about to become a father, and I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. I really am." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I need to tell you something I never told you while I was alive. Something about your dad, about our marriage." I leaned closer to the screen. "Your father? He wasn't faithful, Danny. For years, I knew. I stayed anyway. I stayed because I thought that's what family meant. Sacrifice, silence, keeping it together for you and Sarah." My chest tightened. "But honey, I was wrong. I was so wrong. I wasted 30 years of my life building a home on a foundation of lies, and every day, a little piece of me crumbled." She wiped her eyes. "You're a builder, Danny, just like your dad was. But you're better than him. You're better than me. So I'm asking you, don't make my mistake. When you build your family, build it on truth. If something ever feels wrong, if you ever doubt, trust your gut. Don't be afraid to walk away from a foundation built on sand." She leaned into the camera. "We Millers, we build things that last. But they only last if they're built right. Remember that." The video ended. I sat there in the dark for a long time. Emma called me for dinner. I didn't move. Her voice came again, closer. "Danny, you okay?" I looked up. She was standing in the doorway, one hand on her belly. "Yeah," I said. "Just processing some stuff." She smiled. "Your mom?" I nodded. "She loved you so much," Emma said. "Yeah, she did." Emma went back to the kitchen. I stared at the blank screen. My mother's words echoed, "If something ever feels wrong, trust your gut." And that's when the memories started flooding back. Small things, things I'd dismissed. 6 months ago, Emma had started working late, a lot. "New project," she said. "Big client." I believed her. Why wouldn't I? We'd been married 3 years. I trusted her. But there were other things. A deleted text I'd seen flash on her phone one morning. She'd grabbed it quickly, laughed it off. "Just Sarah being weird," she'd said. Except it hadn't been Sarah's name on the screen. It had been just a B. And then there was the name Confrontation. 2 months ago, I'd suggested naming the baby Catherine if it was a girl. Emma had shut it down hard. I don't like old-fashioned names, she'd said. When I pushed, she'd gotten angry. We'd fought. I'd dropped it. I shook my head. I'm being paranoid. Mom's letter is messing with my head. But the doubt was planted. The next morning, Emma had a prenatal appointment. I was working from home, trying to focus on blueprints for a new commercial development downtown. I couldn't concentrate. Emma left her laptop on the kitchen counter. I walked past it 3 times before I stopped. A calendar notification popped up on the screen. Delete old chats with B before baby comes. My heart stopped. I shouldn't have looked. I know that. But my mother's voice was in my head. Trust your gut. I opened her messages, cloud backup, deleted folder, and there it was. Months of messages with Brandon Hayes, explicit, detailed, my wife and some guy from her marketing firm. It had started almost a year ago. There were photos, videos I couldn't bring myself to watch. One exchange from 9 months ago. Brandon, what if you're pregnant? Emma, it's fine, Daniel won't know. It was just that once. Brandon, you sure the timing works out? Emma, I'll make it work. I read it 3 times. She knew. She'd known from the beginning there was a chance this baby wasn't mine, and she was going to let me believe it was. When Emma came home 2 hours later, I was sitting in the dark living room, her laptop open in front of me. Hey babe, appointment went great, babies. She stopped when she saw my face. What's wrong? Who's Brandon? She froze. I watched the color drain from her face. He's a coworker. Why? I turned the laptop around. She looked at the screen. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. Danny, I can explain. Explain what? That you've been sleeping with someone else? That you got pregnant and didn't know if it was mine? That you were planning to lie to me for the rest of my life? It was a mistake. She was crying now, moving toward me. One time I swear I was drunk at the office party. It didn't mean anything. These messages say otherwise. Months, Emma. Months of this. Okay, it was more than once, but it's over now, I swear. And the baby is yours. I know he is. Do you? I stood up. Because these messages say you weren't sure. I'll make it work. Emma, what does that mean? She was sobbing. I don't know. I was scared. I didn't know what to say. Try the truth. The truth is I love you. The truth is I made a horrible mistake, but I love you. And this baby is ours and we can get through this? No. My voice was calm, cold. We can't. Because I don't know if that baby is mine, and neither do you. Danny, please. I'll be at the hospital when you give birth, but I'm not signing anything until we have a DNA test. Her face crumpled. You can't be serious. I'm completely serious. That's cruel. That's so cruel, Danny. You want to talk about cruel? You were going to let me raise another man's child and never tell me. That's cruel, Emma. What I'm doing is called protecting myself. She called her parents. They showed up an hour later. Her father called me heartless. Her mother called me a coward. They said I was abandoning my family, that I was selfish, that marriage means forgiveness. I didn't argue. I just packed a bag and left. My mother's words from the video played on repeat. Don't be afraid to walk away from a foundation built on sand. I wasn't afraid anymore. Emma went into labor 2 weeks later. She called me at 3 a.m. I drove her to the hospital in silence. Her parents met us there, and the hostility was immediate. You're really going to do this? Her mother hissed at me in the waiting room. You're going to abandon your child because of some text messages? I didn't respond. Emma labored for 7 hours. I stayed in the hallway mostly. I didn't hold her hand. I didn't whisper encouragement. I just waited. When the baby was born, the nurse brought him out. Do you want to hold your son? She asked. I looked at him. Blonde hair, blue eyes. Emma had brown hair. I had dark brown, almost black. Brandon Hayes, from what I could see in those photos, was blonde. No, I said. Not yet. The nurse looked confused but took him back. Emma's father found me 20 minutes later. The doctor's asking for you. Birth certificate. I walked into the room. Emma was holding the baby, tears streaming down her face. Danny, please, just look at him. He's beautiful. He's ours. The doctor handed me the clipboard. I looked at the blank line where my name should go. I need a paternity test first, I said. Emma's mother exploded. You heartless bastard! That's your son. Maybe, I said. Maybe not. but I'm not signing until I know." "You're being cruel to an innocent baby," Emma sobbed. I looked at her, really looked at her. "I'm being honest," I said. "Something you've never been with me." Her father stepped forward, got in my face. "If you walk out that door, you're not welcome back. You'll lose everything." And that's when I said it. I already lost everything the day she lied. I set the clipboard down and left. The next week was hell. I moved into a temporary apartment across town. My phone exploded with messages. Friends, distant relatives, people from Emma's life I barely knew. Everyone had an opinion. "How could you do this to her? She just had a baby and you abandoned her? What kind of man are you?" Emma posted on social media. Nothing explicit, but enough. Going through the hardest time as a new mom, without support. The comments poured in, people calling me a deadbeat, a coward, worse. Only 2 people stood by me, my sister Sarah and my best friend Marcus. Marcus came over with beer 3 days after I left the hospital. "Everyone's talking, man," he said. "You sure about this?" I showed him the messages, all of them. Damn. He was quiet for a long time. "But what if the test says he is yours?" "Then I'll step up. But I won't be played for a fool, Marcus. I won't." "Your mom would be proud," he said quietly. "She always said you had a backbone." That hit me harder than I expected. "She knew what it's like," I said, "to live a lie. She stayed with my dad even though he cheated for 30 years. It destroyed her. And you're not going to let that happen to you." "No, I'm not." 7 days after the birth, the DNA results arrived. I was sitting in my truck at a construction site, staring at the email. Subject line, DNA test results, case number 47291. My finger hovered over it for a full minute. I opened it, scrolled down. Probability of paternity, 0.00%. I read it again, and again, 0%. The baby wasn't mine. I didn't cry, I didn't yell. I just sat there, breathing. My phone rang. Marcus. "Well?" he asked. "He's not mine." Silence. "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to tell the truth." I posted it on social media that night. I almost never use social media, but this felt necessary. To everyone asking where I've been waiting for the truth. DNA results confirmed the child my wife gave birth to is not mine. I will not be signing the birth certificate. I will not be bullied into raising another man's child while being lied to. My mother taught me, build things that last, lies don't last, I'm done. The internet lost its mind. Half the comments supported me. "You did the right thing." "She's a cheater, leave her." "Paternity fraud is real." The other half called me heartless. "That baby is innocent." "You're punishing a child for the mother's mistake. Real men step up." Emma responded publicly. "It was a mistake. We can work through this. Please, Danny." I didn't respond, but I didn't know then what I was about to learn, about my mother's sacrifice, about the full story she'd left behind. That part came later. 2 days after I posted the DNA results, Sarah called. "Can you come over?" she asked. "There's more Mom wanted you to know." I drove to her apartment, confused. Sarah looked like she'd been crying. "Sit down," she said. I sat. "Mom didn't just know Dad cheated. She stayed with him for almost 20 years knowing. She told me everything before she died, made me promise to tell you. After you became a father, I guess now counts." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean 20 years? Sarah pulled out a small wooden box. Inside were letters, diary entries, all in my mother's handwriting. "She kept a journal," Sarah said. "For years. She wanted you to understand why she made the choices she did, and why she didn't want you to make the same ones." I picked up the first entry, dated 30 years ago, when I was 2 years old. Frank came home late again. I could smell her perfume. I said nothing. What would I say? "We have 2 babies, a mortgage. My parents would never forgive me for leaving, so I stay, and I pretend." Another entry 5 years later. "Danny asked me today why I'm always sad. I lied and told him I was just tired. I'm teaching my son that silence is strength. God forgive me, I'm teaching him wrong." I kept reading, page after page of my mother's pain, her regret, her slow disappearance into a life built on lies. The final entry was dated 1 week before my father died in a car accident. Frank died today. They said it was an accident on his way to a work meeting, but I found the address. It wasn't a work meeting. It was her apartment, the woman he's been seeing for 15 years. And now he's gone, and I'll never get the apology I deserved. But maybe Danny can have the truth I never had. Someday I'll tell him, don't be me, be braver. I set the journal down. My hands were shaking. She stayed for us, I said. She stayed because she thought that's what love was, Sarah corrected. Sacrifice, suffering. But Danny, she regretted it, every single day. She told me on her deathbed, don't let Danny make my mistake. If he ever faces betrayal, tell him to run. I should have. I looked at my sister. She left me that video to save me. Yeah, Sarah whispered. She did. I spent the next week reading my mother's journal, every entry. 30 years of quiet suffering. There were happier entries too, memories of me and Sarah as kids, moments she'd tried to find joy. But underneath it all was this constant current of pain, of knowing she was living a lie, of feeling trapped. One entry stood out. I must have been 10 years old. Took Danny to Frank's construction site today. Frank barely acknowledged him, too busy flirting with the new secretary. I pulled Danny aside and gave him that toy hard hat he'd been asking for. I told him, someday you'll build things just like your dad, but promise me, you'll only build things worth keeping. He didn't understand, but I hope someday he will. I remembered that day. I remembered the hard hat. I still had it somewhere in storage. I remembered my mother's words. We build things that last. She wasn't talking about buildings. She was talking about life, family, love. And she'd built hers on sand. It had crumbled, and she died regretting it. I drove to her grave that Sunday, knelt in front of the headstone. I get it now, Mom, I said out loud. You stayed because you thought love meant suffering, but you taught me something different in that video. You taught me that love means truth, that family means choice. You gave me permission to walk away. I pulled the toy hard hat from my bag. I dug it out of storage that morning. I'm going to build something that lasts, I said, just like you wanted, but I'm going to build it on solid ground, not sand, not lies. I placed the hard hat at the base of her headstone. Thank you for saving me from your mistake, Mom. The wind picked up. For a moment, I could almost feel her there with me, and for the first time since opening that email with the DNA results, I felt something other than anger. I felt free. 3 months later, I was leading a major construction project downtown, a mixed-use development, residential, commercial, green space. The biggest project I'd ever managed. The architectural firm we were partnering with sent over their lead designer for a site meeting. Her name was Grace Cooper. She was 34, sharp as hell, and didn't take any nonsense from me or my crew. Your timeline doesn't account for material delays, she said, looking at my schedule. Your design doesn't account for soil load, I shot back, pointing at her blueprints. She raised an eyebrow. You questioning my structural calculations? I'm questioning whether you've ever actually been on a construction site. I've been on more sites than you've had hot meals, Miller. Marcus, standing next to me, tried not to laugh. We argued for 20 minutes before finally compromising on a revised timeline and some design tweaks. After the meeting, Marcus clapped me on the shoulder. She's intense, he said. She knows her stuff, I admitted. You like her. I respect her. That's not what I said. I ignored him, but he wasn't wrong. Grace and I met 3 more times over the next 2 weeks to iron out project details. The third meeting, we ended up at a coffee shop near the site. The conversation started professional, ended personal. You're the guy from the news, she said halfway through her latte. The DNA test. I tensed. Yeah, that's me. I'm sorry. That must have been hell. It was. She stirred her coffee. For what it's worth, I think you did the right thing. I looked at her, surprised. Most people don't. Most people don't understand what it's like to be lied to by someone you love. Something in her voice made me ask, do you? She nodded. I was married for 6 years. He wanted kids. I wanted a career. We agreed to wait, except he didn't want to wait. He found someone else who wanted what he wanted, filed for divorce on our anniversary. I'm sorry. Don't be. Best thing that ever happened to me. Taught me what I actually wanted, which is both, career and family, with someone who's honest about what they want. We talked for 2 hours. The coffee got cold. Neither of us cared. When we finally left, she said, "We should do this again. The talking part, not the arguing part." I smiled. I liked the arguing part. Me too. Over the next 6 weeks, work meetings turned into dinners. Dinners turned into long walks through the city. Grace met Sarah. They got along immediately, bonding over their shared exasperation with me. One night, Grace asked about my mother. I told her about Catherine, about the video, about the journal, about the 30 years my mother spent living a lie. Grace listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, "She sounds like she loved you fiercely." She did. She just didn't love herself enough to leave. And you're not going to make that mistake. No, I'm not. Grace reached across the table and took my hand. "Good," she said, "because I don't date people who settle." I smiled. Neither do I. That night, back at my apartment, we kissed for the first time. It wasn't desperate or rushed. It was solid, real, like something built to last. 2 months into seeing Grace, I got served with legal papers. Emma was suing me for paternity by estoppel, claiming that because I'd acted as the baby's father during the pregnancy, driven her to appointments, been there for ultrasounds, I was financially responsible, DNA or not. I called my lawyer immediately. "It's a weak case," she said, "but your ex-wife is desperate. You'll need to appear in court." "I never even held the baby," I said. "She's going to argue emotional distress, abandonment, make you look like the villain." "I have the DNA test. I have her messages admitting to the affair. That'll help, but be prepared. It's going to get ugly." It did. The court date was set for 6 weeks out. In the meantime, Grace and I kept building our life together, slowly, carefully. One Sunday morning, I made pancakes, my mother's recipe. I hadn't made them since she died. Grace came into the kitchen, still in her pajamas. "Smells amazing," she said. "Where'd you learn to cook?" "My mom. Sunday pancakes were her thing, family tradition." I plated them, and we sat at my tiny kitchen table. Grace took a bite. "Oh my God, these are incredible." She made them every Sunday when I was a kid, just her, me, and Sarah. My dad was always somewhere else. Grace reached across the table, squeezed my hand. "I love that you're sharing this with me." I looked at her, really looked at her. "Want to make it our tradition?" I asked. "I'd like that," she said. And just like that, something old became something new. The night before the court hearing, Grace came over. We sat on my couch, and I could tell she was nervous. "You don't have to come tomorrow," I said. "This is my mess." "No," she said firmly. "We're building this together, remember? I'm not going anywhere." I pulled her close. "I'm terrified," I admitted. "Not of losing the case, I know I'll win, but of being publicly dragged through this again." "Then we face it together," Grace said. "And after it's done, we keep building." "What are we building?" She smiled. "Something that lasts." I kissed her forehead. "My mom would have liked you." I wish I could have met her. I pulled out my phone, showed her the video. Grace watched the whole thing, tears streaming down her face. When it ended, she said, "She'd be so proud of you, Danny." "I hope so," I said. "I'm trying to do what she couldn't." "You're not just doing it," Grace said. "You're honoring her." The courtroom was packed. Emma sat on one side with her parents and the baby. 5 months old now, still blonde, still not mine. I sat on the other side with Grace, Sarah, and my lawyer. The whispers started immediately. "That's him! He abandoned his kid!" "No, I heard the baby's not his." I kept my eyes forward. Emma's lawyer went first, argued that I'd acted as the father during the pregnancy, that I'd emotionally committed, that my abandonment had caused Emma severe emotional distress. Then Emma took the stand. She cried a lot. "Daniel was excited about being a father," she said between sobs. "He came to every appointment. He painted the nursery. He picked out names. And then, after one mistake, he just left. He abandoned us." "And you believe Mr. Miller should be held financially responsible for the child?" her lawyer asked. "Yes," Emma said. "He was going to be the father. He promised." "Even though DNA evidence proves he's not the biological father?" "That doesn't matter," Emma said, looking right at me. "Family isn't just about blood. He loved that baby. I know he did." Some people in the gallery nodded. My lawyer stood. Ms. Miller, did you or did you not engage in an extramarital affair with Brandon Hayes? Emma's face went red. Yes, but it was a mistake. Did you or did you not know there was a possibility the child was not your husband's? Silence. Ms. Miller? I wasn't sure, Emma whispered. And did you plan to tell your husband about this uncertainty? Emma didn't answer. Your Honor, I'd like to submit evidence. My lawyer handed over printed messages. These are text exchanges between Ms. Miller and Mr. Hayes. In them, Ms. Miller explicitly discusses the possibility of the pregnancy resulting from their affair and strategizes on how to conceal this from my client. The judge read them. Her face hardened. Ms. Miller, you plan to deceive your husband about the paternity of this child? Emma was crying again. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. That's not an answer. Yes, Emma finally said. Yes, I was going to let him think the baby was his. Murmurs rippled through the courtroom. Then it was my turn. My lawyer asked the basic questions. Timeline, discovery, DNA test. Then Emma's lawyer cross-examined. Mr. Miller, do you feel any responsibility toward the child? I feel responsibility to the truth, I said. That child deserves a father who chooses him. I was deceived. I'm not that father. You don't think you're being cruel? I took a breath. This was it. My mother spent 30 years in a marriage built on lies, I said. My father cheated on her. She knew. She stayed for the family. And you know what? It destroyed her. She died with regret, wishing she'd been brave enough to leave. The courtroom went quiet. She left me a letter before she died. She told me, don't make my mistake. Protect your family, not a lie. I looked at Emma. I'm not punishing a child. I'm refusing to build my life on deception. That baby deserves a father who chooses him honestly. Brandon Hayes is that father, not me. I turned to the judge. And I'm building a new family now, a real one, built on truth, on choice, on love that's earned, not assumed. I glanced at Grace. She was crying. Maybe some of you think I'm heartless, I said, looking around the courtroom. But if you've ever been lied to by someone you loved, if you've ever felt that betrayal, you might understand. I'm not running from family. I'm running toward the family I deserve to build. The room was silent. Then my lawyer dropped the final bomb. Your Honor, we've subpoenaed Brandon Hayes. The doors opened. Brandon walked in, looking like he wanted to be anywhere else. Emma's face went white. Mr. Hayes, my lawyer said, have you taken a paternity test regarding the child in question? Brandon swallowed. Yes. And what were the results? He's mine. His voice was barely a whisper. The baby's mine. The courtroom erupted. The judge banged her gavel. Ms. Miller, she said, her voice icy. Were you aware of this? Emma was shaking. I only found out last month. I didn't want to lose Daniel, and this case is dismissed. The judge's voice cut through the chaos. Mr. Miller, you're free to go. Ms. Miller, I strongly suggest you work with Mr. Hayes to establish proper paternity and custody arrangements. It was over. Outside the courthouse, Emma's father approached me. He looked 10 years older than the last time I'd seen him. Daniel, he said, I'm sorry. I didn't know she'd lied to everyone, not just you. I nodded. I hope you can help that baby find his real father. I will. He paused. Your mother, she taught you well. Yeah, I said. She did. He walked away. Sarah hugged me. Mom would be so proud. Grace kissed me. Let's go home. Yeah, I said. Let's go build our life. 6 months later, I stood in another hospital. But this time, everything was different. Grace was in the bed, exhausted but smiling. Our daughter, Lily Catherine Miller, was in her arms. She's perfect, Grace whispered. She's ours, I said. The doctor brought the birth certificate. I read it. Father, Daniel Miller. Mother, Grace Cooper Miller. Child, Lily Catherine Miller. I signed it without hesitation. Grace signed next to me. Welcome to the world, Lily, I said. 2 weeks later, Sunday morning, I was in our kitchen making pancakes, my mother's recipe. Lily was in her bassinet, sleeping peacefully. Grace came in, hair messy, eyes sleepy. Smells like home, she said. That's the idea. We ate together, just the three of us. Think she'll like pancakes when she's older? Grace asked. If she's a Miller, she will. Grace smiled. This is our tradition now. Team Miller. Built to last, I said. She kissed me. Built to last. Later that week, I took Lily to the construction site. The building Grace and I had designed together was finally complete. Residential units, street-level retail, a rooftop garden. We did this together, Grace said, holding Lily. First of many, I said. I pulled out a small package from my truck. Inside was a tiny hard hat, custom made. Lily Miller embroidered on the front. I placed it on her head. Way too big. Adorable. When you're ready, kiddo, I said, I'll teach you to build things that last. That night, in my home office, I set up my phone on a tripod. Lily was asleep in my arms. I pressed record. Hey, Lily, it's Dad. If you're watching this, you're probably grown up now, maybe about to start a family of your own. I looked at her tiny face. I want to tell you about your grandma, Catherine. You never got to meet her, but she saved my life. She taught me that family isn't just about blood. It's about choice. It's about truth. It's about showing up. I took a breath. Your mom and I built our family on honesty, on love that was chosen, not assumed. And I need you to know, you were chosen. Every single day, we choose you. Lily stirred in my sleep. Someday you'll face hard choices. People might lie to you, disappoint you, and you'll have to decide, do I stay or do I go? Do I build on sand or on rock? I thought of my mother, of her journal, of her video. I can't tell you what to choose, but I can tell you this. Build things that last. Don't settle for foundations made of lies. You deserve better. I smiled. Your grandma told me once, protect your family. So, that's what I'm doing. Protecting you, protecting your mom, protecting this truth we've built together. My voice cracked. I love you, Lily Catherine, forever and always. Now go build something amazing. I stopped recording. Grace came in, saw my face. You okay? Yeah, I said. I'm just passing it on. She sat next to me. Your mom would be so proud. I hope so. I'm finally doing what she couldn't. Grace kissed my forehead. You're doing more than that. You're building a legacy. 1 year later, Sunday morning, Lily, now a year old, sat in her high chair, smashing pancakes into her face. I stood at the stove, flipping more. Grace set the table. Sarah came over, bringing flowers. Aunt Sarah reporting for pancake duty. We all sat together. Lily babbled happily. Grace laughed. Sarah told a story about work. I looked around the table, my family, not the one I was born into, not the one I thought I was building with Emma, the one I chose, the one I built, the one that chose me back. My phone buzzed. A message from Marcus. New project proposal. You interested? I looked at Grace. New build downtown. Want to design it with me? Always, she said. I picked up Lily, held her close. What's the plan today, Team Miller? Grace asked. I was thinking we could visit Grandma Catherine's grave, I said. Show her the pictures of Lily. Sarah smiled. Mom would love that. I looked at my daughter. My mother once told me, build things that last. I didn't understand what she meant. I thought she was talking about buildings, careers, physical things. I kissed Lily's forehead. But she wasn't. She was talking about this. I gestured to Grace, to Sarah, to the pancakes on the table. She was talking about family you choose, love you build, foundations you trust. Grace's hand found mine. I lost the family I thought I had, I said quietly. But I found the family I was meant to have. I looked around the table one more time. And this is built to last. The morning sun came through the window. Lily laughed. Grace squeezed my hand. Sarah raised her coffee cup. And for the first time in my life, I understood what my mother meant. Family isn't about blood. It's about who stays, who chooses you, who builds with you. Some people say blood is thicker than water, but the full quote is, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. The family you choose, the promises you keep, that's what lasts. That's what I'm building. And I'm never looking back.